Blocks for love.
I told him to go get you some more candy. The bowl is empty.
It's very full over there.
Oh, the big bowl.
And then
I think I'll take it.
everybody.
You get here on time, get here when you can, huh? No, it kicked on already.
Oh,
It kicked back off.
the red light came? Oh, there it is.
Computer's not on or not.
So you're in town now. You're not some homeschool, you're out in the trips, you're all over the place.
No, we're still homeschooling. We're just in town right now.
Oh, okay. That's neat.
Couldn't miss such an important meeting.
Well, you better be.
All right, good evening. We're going to call to order the Tuesday, January 14th Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. This time, let's stand for the pledge.
Excuse me.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I didn't mean to.
All right, at this time, we are looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Berry and a second by Mr. Allegretto. Mr. Berry, any comments?
No,
No, sir. Thank you.
thank you.
Good vote. Yes.
You won't like it, but
Okay, by show. If we have any nays, do we have any nays?
no.
All right, at this point, the agenda is approved unanimously. All right, item 4, approval of the minutes. 4.1, Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting minutes from Tuesday, October 8, 2024.
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allegretto and a second by Mr. Berry. Mr. Allegretto, any comments?
No, sir, thank you.
Mr. Berry?
No comment.
All right, let's go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, it passes unanimously. Public comments, item 5. Ms. Tanner.
Really, is this the time that we did this at the end?
Head on up to the podium, let's talk about it. Anything off the agenda? State your name and address for us so we can get it on the record.
Candace Tanner, 187 Brooks Street, downtown. I do have a couple of things that I wanted to bring up, and this is not to catch anybody unaware. I didn't intend that, and I didn't have time to get an email out, but I wanted to ask about the status of Steamboat Landing downtown. And as you know, there may be things going on that I don't know about. I did check their website, it's permanently closed. And then also, we looked at some of the police records, they are patrolling there all the time. Is that a resource, a taxpayer resource that we're paying for, or is that something that that the owners themselves are paying? I just don't know, and the reason I bring it up is because we looked at this about a year ago, I think, and since then, of course, some of the people downtown come to me to ask questions about what to do, and I think it's almost a feeling like there's something going on back there. It's off the beaten path, but it's very unhealthy. I haven't been going back there taking pictures because it says no trespassing everywhere, but there does continue to be complaints about it, and just wanted to ask about that. If we could get a status update.
Yeah, well, we, the property owners, they're right next to it. I asked
Yes.
to Mr. Norman and brought
Yes,
it up,
right.
and Chris and their staff, the code enforcement guys went down there and took a look at it, and Chris may be able to give them.
That's what I was hoping we could get something on that today.
Mr. Frazzetti?
Oh,
Sure. Yes, and I can certainly check with my team for the very latest on it. I haven't spoken to them, the last few days or anything, but what we've been working on, it's been in code enforcement for a long time now, as Tanner said.
The ownership is a condominium ownership, so it's made up of hundreds of owners, and they've actually been going through a foreclosure proceeding and noticing all the owners to actually go through and try and sell the property. So we've been working with them, code enforcement, police department as well, to secure it, to clean up. There's been trash, there's been vagrants in there and graffiti and different things. So we've gotten it cleaned up. I know for like the Normans had asked to, I know a few months back. I would check with my team and see if there's any recent complaints on it, but I know we've spoken to the management team, the representative for the owners, and anytime that we do have something, they do respond and get it cleaned up, but they've just told us that they're working through the legal process to get the property sold, because it's our understanding there's hundreds and hundreds of owners that they're just trying to get everything taken care of, and it's been going on probably since last year at this point.
Mr. Chair.
And I know that can be a long, lengthy process, but are you aware of this one, this specific property, Ms. Kim?
I can find out whatever you need to know.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say, if there's any way that we can do,
Sure.
I've seen it, it's an eyesore.
Yeah, I think we've spoken
Even
to
from the boat, it's graffitied, it's an eyesore. So if there's anything, we have CRA funds sitting here. If there's anything that we can help CRA fund wise to speed this process up instead of just waiting, because we know foreclosure can take years. So I don't know what we can do. That's your expertise or yours, Mr. Mead, but if we have CRA funds available, can we write a check to speed the process up somehow, some way?
Sure,
Because
for sure.
it needs to be taken care of.
Yep,
We
for sure.
could, but foreclosure also doesn't have to take years.
Right.
Notification though does, right?
No.
Because I feel like that was,
Their attorneys.
I feel like that's similar to what happened to the Damon's piece of property. It was
Yeah.
owned by a bunch of people, and the reason it took so long was trying to get notification all out to the
Yeah.
owners so they could have a vote to sell it.
And it will depend on what shows up in the title work, but for some properties, it can be pretty quick. So it really depends, and I'm just saying it doesn't always take years. It can be done in a lot less time, sometimes.
So can we run things parallel? So what I'm hearing this say, it sounds like there's a consensus to maybe see what we can do to continue that foreclosure process. But do you have any recommendations on what we can do to run parallel with that? Like what I think I heard, maybe a contractor or putting some.
I mean, in reality, the property,
tight.
the structures need to be demolished there. I mean, it needs to be demoed. We have a little bit, we do have our nuisance abatement grant funding that can go towards demolitions. It's capped at a certain value, so I don't know if it would cover the whole project or not. But we do have our nuisance abatement, process. We've actually talked to a few just individuals that have come in asking about the status of the property that would be interested in buying it once it goes through that foreclosure process. So I think there's some interest out there, some people watching it. On our side, we've just been, if there's a nuisance issue or something that comes up, we tell them through code enforcement, they do get that part taken care of, and then they just keep telling us it's their. We've been working with their attorney, is the one that's been notifying us of the status of it, this whole time as well. But we can definitely see if it's something that we could do now. Problem with any of those is if we're placing liens on it, we don't want to further slow down their process either. So it's kind of exploring, do we
We
go
can
through
look at
something?
simultaneous. We could figure out if there's multiple avenues to hit it once.
Very good.
That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look on their website, there's people to contact.
Mhm. Yeah, we have, we're in regular, that's what I was saying, we're in contact with them, so.
Yeah, that's what it's, yeah.
So what I'm hearing to say is before we go on to the next agenda item, you have what you need
Yes.
from a cost standpoint or any threshold if it was above your director's approval or city manager's approval. You have everything you need tonight to run simultaneously with the city attorney's office, those other businesses as far as foreclosure. You have everything you need.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tanner. Anybody else on the board about on that subject of conversation before we go on? Okay, all right, closing out public comments. Item 6, presentation, 6.1, 2025 CRA quarterly update report. Mr. Frizzetti.
Thank you all, and thank you for taking the time this afternoon for this meeting. I'll open it and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Lisa to continue. But first, I did just want to give just a real quick update on the downtown design guidelines. That project, we've been working with Kimley Horn, our consultant, and we're making good progress. We've had a whole bunch of stakeholder meetings and interviews over the last couple of months. They're been compiling the data and are currently working on drafting the actual document. And so kind of just next steps, I want to let you all know, one of its opportunity was that at the end of this month, we've got one more meeting with some downtown stakeholders to go over trying to get some feedback and questions so they can draft a document. And then once we have their draft, we'd like to schedule a meeting with the council for a workshop to get all of your input, see what your thoughts are, good or bad, whatever. And then they'll take that back and then continue changing and developing it and working, final towards a hopefully closer to final product that would then be returned, a month or two after. So, at this point, timeline wise, by the end of January, we'll have concluded the stakeholder input, and then we'll finish making any updates needed based on that input to the draft. We'll have draft completed, within about a month from that time. So by end of February, and then look at scheduling a workshop with council, and then go from there based on your input. So we've had a lot of good input. We've had a community survey out there. We've had multiple stakeholder meetings with anywhere from a dozen to multiple 50, 60 people attend. And there's a lot of work going on, and so we're excited that's moving forward. So just wanted to give you that quick update on that. If you have any questions, but if not, I'll then turn it over to Elisa to give you the project updates that we've been working on.
Any questions? Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Ms. Alicia?
Good evening, it's nice seeing y'all here. Let me get to my notes. Okay, you'll get to the first slide, please. Today, this is our first quarterly report for 2025, and I want to say welcome, and I'm excited about the new year, what's coming, and what we have done, and what we'll be continuing to do. So I want to begin with Vanderbilt Park. I know y'all have probably driven by there and seen the beautiful work that has been done on Vanderbilt Park. The brick pavers have been completed. We're working with the lighting company the plan we did have wasn't going to work, so Tiffany came up with a great way. We're going to light the trees in Vanderbilt Park, and they're going to be lit year round, so that will keep it nice and beautiful lit. And then we're working on we want to do an archway entrance that's like the invitation to that area. And I'm going to send out a call to artists. We want to do kind of like what we did with the storm drain art. And the award, we want to put it out there and let people submit with their ideas. And then the winner will get $500 we'll pick their design. And then we'll go from there to get somebody to actually manufacture the archway. So I want to have the call to artists completed by the end of February so we can put out the ITB for the construction of the archway.
Yeah, I want to just as an add-on the wall to the left, the reddish brick wall. We're going to get a little interactive mural paint up there as well. Christina did that library mural wall too, so that'll be a nice addition.
I knew we had talked about it, and I wanted to show you something. Right,
The reason she just texted me like 30 minutes before the meeting.
Oh, well, that's great news. I love hearing that because we have talked about doing that. I'm glad to see that project's moving forward. Okay, so the next slide. This is a combination project. It's Sound Park and Gulfview Park. So y'all know what we've already done with Sound Park. We've already done a lot of improvements. We did a set-ted analysis, and there's been a lot of improvements done. It looks great, but there's more that needs to be done. In regards to the deed of Sound Park, one of the things is that the flora there, it needs to be an attraction for the natural flora. And before we used to have little signs that said, each bed had a sign saying what it was. It's set up in the deed, it's supposed to be an educational park and a reserve for the flora that's there and the natural flora. So it's very specific of what can be there. One of the problems we have is the irrigation system is inoperable, it's not working, it's constant, it's a high maintenance irrigation system. So that and with the Gulfview Park, we want to do an ITB for a landscape design for both of those areas and do one project or do one ITB for both of those projects because the Gulfview Park, which y'all know where that is, that corner, y'all know where the Gulfview Park is, what I'm referring to? Okay, that corner right there, we're wanting to, Public Works is going to be breaking up the concrete. We've gotten approval, Jeff got approval from the owners to fix up that corner and make it look nice. But it's going to need irrigation and it's going to need a nice landscaping design. So I wanted to put it all under one contract and give both of those, get landscaping, irrigation system, and get both of those set up and make them look beautiful. There's the Sound Park, that's kind of the last project we've got with Sound Park. We get that landscaping, the pathways done. I want to redo the pathways and get them all pretty. When we get this done, Sound Park will be done. And Vandergrift Park, or Gulfview Park, that's going to be beginning, and we're going to work on getting several of that done too. So that's what this project is going to be. The ITB is going to be out in February. We're wanting to open the bids in April, and hopefully the work will begin in June.
So does this ITB include any type of camera system, or are we
No.
getting away from that, or?
No, this is just for the landscaping project.
Yeah, just
So
didn't know if there was any scope to include that camera piece. Not
the
only in this
camera's already at Sound Park.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
the
thank you.
camera's already up at Sound Park. I don't see a need for us to put the expense of a camera at Gulfview Park, because Gulfview itself has so many. So I really don't see a need for there, but the camera at Sound Park is up.
Yeah, that's good to know. That was new information. Thank you.
Okay?
Mr. Smith?
So as it relates to that Gulfview Park, I'm glad we got permission from the owner to get that piece and get it cleaned up. Would it be out of the realm of possibility to get us maybe a nice lighted sign to put on that piece of property that's like, welcome to downtown Fort Walton Beach? I mean, a lot of places I go, they're downtowns. As you're entering downtown, they got kind of like a prime piece of real estate like this that have a nice sign on it that's lit up at night, not during the day. When you come in, it says, hey, welcome to, so-and-so. Would that be, you think that'd be something that maybe Vince would be okay with?
The original one was we were going to landscape and make it look nice, and the church was moving away
Yep.
from there, just really trying to clean it up, but I can definitely ask him.
And I do want to address that. And actually, that was one thing I had looked at, because, and I don't know if you're in Crestview, they've got the three-way tower sign that's at the main intersection at downtown Crestview. And I was kind of wanting something there, but I think with Round the Mound, we're kind of didn't want to put too much money on that, because we're not exactly sure how Round the Mound is going to go. But that is something we had considered, yes. There's another thing that Tiffany and I had talked about doing, is have a revolving art statue project in that middle, and each quarter have a different artistic statue design that would be revolving. There's a group that can do that. So there's several objects, and yes, I did want to do one of those, and I think that's a great idea, especially the three-way tower sign.
Yeah, I think if we do a sign, whether, Around the Mound gets there or not, you can always move the sign, so that would be a pretty easy thing to do. But I just think it would be a nice thing. I've got a ton of compliments this holiday season with the trees being lit up,
That's great.
in the evening and stuff like that. And I just think, kind of a nice entryway sign into downtown, and trying to get that feel that I get when I go into a lot of other towns outside of here, that it's a big welcome entrance. You see the trees perfectly lighted, and it's really cool looking. So
I know one of the, just moving forward, even we just finished the Christmas season, but having a Christmas tree there on the corner end room too, and for 2025 Christmas too.
Also.
There's several options. We're open for any ideas. I think it's great. We're just going to get it ready and get it set up. There will be a center section that's going to be concrete, so we can put what we want on it.
Okay.
So, yes.
And it sounds like if the landowner is okay with it, we can include that in the ITB to that signage.
Well, that would be a different ITB.
Okay.
That would be a different, this is just landscaping. So once we get the landscaping done and get it set up, we'll have the space open so we can put something there. But the landscaping is one thing, and the tower will be another, that would be another request for, that might be an RFQ. I'm not exactly sure how that would
Well,
go.
I'm glad you said about the art, because kind of what my thought process was with the entryway sign is getting with the Cultural Arts League and letting them design the sign
Yeah.
for, hey, this is downtown Fort Walton Beach. Let them design whatever, and then we can light it up. That way we get more community involved in what we got going on.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and I think that's a great idea. I love that you're on kind of going the same path I was going down, so I appreciate that. That's great.
Mr. Allegretto?
I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great idea regarding the sign. I don't see any reason to wait on it either. I understand it can't be in the same ITB as, a landscaping guy is going to come in there and put some plants in and some sprinklers, and he's not necessarily going to be able to make a sign, but I think getting the ball rolling on this situation right away would be a really good idea. I like the idea of getting the community involved in designing it as well, but I think a big old giant sign right there that's lit up at night would be really, really nice. and make a massive change. So-
One of the, and I was just kind of reviewing what I sent him, and I just said we'd fix it up, maybe some signage and stuff, and he said, yes, I'd be all for that. I don't really want any more political signs on that property.
Oh, I was gonna give him a call since I got a run, but I guess not now.
He did say that. I said,
Maybe if it's lit up.
As long as it's lit up, looks good, artistic.
Welcome to Fort Walton Beach, vote Travis Smith, light right up.
Yeah, I just, CRA funds can't pay for that, just tell you. But, and I don't know if y'all, and you've seen the three-way tower sign that's in Crestview. I did that, I designed it, and it's, I mean, I've already got the stuff for it. I mean, that's a beautiful sign, and it's a three-way sign with the digital that you can advertise stuff on. That's something we can look at. We can look at other things. And yes, I can go ahead and move forward with that, and go ahead and start getting that process work too.
That'd be awesome.
If y'all agree to it, I'll move forward.
yeah, I'll get Vince's.
Get some approval.
Mr. Mead?
If we're looking for consensus, I agree. I don't know that it needs to be, advertisement or anything, but
Yeah,
a sign
I don't
just,
care
I mean,
about
something the size of
advertisement.
that television, if it's three-sided, that's fine. Just reminding people that they're entering the downtown of Fort Walton Beach is what I would support. I would support doing it sooner than later to get the ball rolling, even though the garden or park is not finished. I'd still support getting some lights and a sign right there.
I'll go
And
ahead and work.
I would authorize, my consensus would be authorizing the city manager to use his spending authority to do it.
50 grand, get us a good time.
Mr. Jeter?
Yeah, if you're looking for consensus, 100% agree with what everybody said. I would add to the landscaping, I'd just look at it and go, let's make sure maybe you plant a seed with them about longevity for maintenance issues and this and that. And I just say that because even the county, the city, whoever, we do this, a company that does this grand landscape design, they sell us this picture and it looks awesome, but just think about maintenance here. And I'm sure you do, and the landscapers know way more than I do about landscape, I get it, but just plant the seed of, we want something easy to maintain 5 or 10 years from now. We don't need it to look like holy heck.
And I agree with you. One of the things that when I did the scope of work, I actually included ongoing maintenance on that as part of this project through the CRA projects.
Okay.
So that can be done on this as an ongoing maintenance, so the city doesn't have to pick up that maintenance issue. That can be part of the contract.
I know some of it's got to be natural, so you'll find that balance, but I know when you do pavers and synthetic grass, 10 years from now, it still looks like pavers and synthetic grass. When you do pine straw, it looks like heck a year from now.
Yeah, well, and we do want it low maintenance and easy to care for. That is, you are correct. And the main thing is we got to get an irrigation system in there, or it's just, no matter what we do, it's just not going to work. So that's the main thing, is getting a good irrigation system, and like what we have to do at Sound Park.
It's gonna look like the medians down here if we don't have an irrigation system in it.
I'm all for that, whatever you want to do.
Good stuff. Any other questions?
Yeah, because I agree, because I helped plant those.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and I watched them wither. Yeah, so thank you.
Yeah, well, and like I said, they went out there and fixed that's the problem with the irrigation system at Sound Park. They went and fixed it, but it's just old. It needs to be completely redone, so let's just go ahead and get it redone and do it right.
Plant again?
I just want to do it right. If we're going to put money in it, I want to be able to maintain it and do it right.
Makes sense. Good stuff.
You don't need irrigation for pavers and synthetic grass, though.
We'll talk later. You let me know what you want.
That's good.
Okay, any more questions on this?
Looks like we're good at the time. We're good at this time. Keep going.
Okay, all right. So the next one is Chesterbrook Park, which y'all know I did a SEPTED report on that, and I turned it in to the Parks and Rec Department. And the SEPTED report says this is what I suggest needs to be improved. And so all of it's going to be expensive, so we've got to project it out. But we have in the CRA funds money that we've already established for some of these repairs. The lighting upgrades, what we want to do is do the same lights as what we do at Sound Park, because we want to be consistent in our parks. We want them all to kind of look the same. Landscaping, Parks and Rec's already done some landscaping improvements, and they're going to keep it up. They've got a guideline now on what should be done. The restroom, we had a bump in the road this weekend. I'm sure y'all are quite aware. So, and Jeff and Tiffany and I talked, and Tiffany and Jeff and I are going to meet tomorrow. We're going to kind of do a plan B on those restrooms and try to do a good SEPTED design of the restrooms to will deter the criminal activity and the negative activity. So we're meeting tomorrow to take care of that. We are going to have to do a plan B because the original bathrooms we were going to put in there, the price increased dramatically.
Well, the The bathroom itself, the block is in really good shape, just a complete overhaul like we did at Ferry Park. Complete paint job, rip everything out, all new fixtures, flooring, paint, lighting, everything in the bathroom will look like a brand new bathroom. So that's kind of what we're gonna look at, and get a complete redo of that.
Camera on a pole outside maybe too.
I do believe we need to do that, I will say that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mr. Allegretti?
And that's something that we could put a locking system on the doors, similar to,
We would do all new doors with the automatic locking system.
Yeah, that's, it, did we do that with the other
Mr.
parks?
Berry?
Yeah, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
May I speak? Yeah, did we do the automatic locks at the landing in Eliza Jackson?
Well, we have the landing is, the bathrooms, the new bathrooms aren't there yet, but all from here on out we are.
And
Yes.
at
Chad Holmes Park.
Liza Jackson.
Liza Jackson will have locking.
Yeah. Yeah, they were upset when you locked the pickleball players. They were upset when you
Yeah,
locked
that was on that freeze day. We were
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
prevent everything freezing up on us.
There's a happy medium, a solution, and we'll come up with something that'll work for the area. I just hate that, you know, it's like we said, we do stuff and then just a few bad apples really mess it up, so I really hate that, but we'll come up with a solution. The stage has, I had in here that it was pending a third quote. Tiffany's already gotten that quote. And fortunately, we're going to be able to do the stage for less than what we allocated funds for. So I set aside $10,000 for the stage, and it's coming in good, less than that. So that's good on that aspect. She's gotten that third quote, and we'll start working on moving forward to getting the stage built. And I hope to have some events and some things going on to bring some activity. Once everything's done at Chester Grove Park, then we're going to do a good pressure washing and cleaning. No need to do it now while we're working on it, but we do want to do a good cleaning of the park when it's done. And I'm excited about looking at that park. It's going to be beautiful when we're done with it. Any questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Next slide. This project I'm really excited about because, well, for several reasons, I like all the projects, but when I first got here, I asked Sergeant Pettis, I said, take me to an area in the CRA that is your most problem. And he took me directly to this road. And he was like, this is the problem we have with this road. So in time, we have been working on it. Well, recently, and this is what I wanted you to see, this is a perfect example of all of your departments and your staff that have worked together to solve a problem. Is it 100% solved? No. But it is a big step in what we've been working for. And it started out with, and I do want to let you know, on the CRA side, our community policing officers, Officers Carter and Bags Watson, they have gotten their basic CPTED training done. They will be going in March to get their advanced. When they're done in March, they will be CPTED practitioners also. So they can do the stuff that I'm doing, and we can spread the jobs out and get more done in a bigger time frame. So we're excited about that. Now on the multi-housing side, and I actually jumped, I was talking about something before I was ready. I'm sorry. I'm excited about Carson Drive, so I'm actually talking about the CPTED page. On the multi-family housing, this apartment complex was actually right outside of the CRA district downtown. And I did the analysis on it, and it was a great example of, even though it's not in the CRA district, it helps the CRA district to have these improvements made because it's right there, and it's in our downtown area. The analysis report was done. I did the employee training for the company, and they're even actually looking at doing other apartments within the city. So there's a whole lot, they wanted to use this as their pilot program. So that's what we're doing on this one. They intend to start doing the upgrades this year on this property. So that is one of our multifamily housings that we've gotten downtown. Now the Heritage Center, I'm working on the site analysis for the Heritage Center. I've done the daytime analysis, and I have met with employees and got their input, and Gail is just a plethora of information. She just made my job a lot easier. But she did point out there's a lot that needs to be done at Heritage Park, at the Heritage Center. Of course, we're going to go hopefully next week and get the lighting analysis done, and I hope to have that done by the end of January. And then the final report should be able to be submitted in March. The improvements to Heritage Center, I can tell you, is probably going to be a 3-year process. There's a lot that's got to be done to make it safe and to make it better. We've got the front, the entrance is beautiful, it's great, so we want to do the rest of it, make it really good and safe. It's probably going to be a 3-year project. We'll spread out the expenses and the duties, and in my report, I will actually say phase 1, 2, 3, and that way we can allocate funds on a basis. We'll prioritize what needs to be done, and then we'll spread that out. But that should be done by the end of March. I should have that at the next meeting, before the next meeting. Any questions on this? Sorry I confused you about Carson Drive. I'm really excited to get on that one. Any questions? Okay. Now we're going to go to what I already talked about, Carson Drive. I did tell y'all I met with Sergeant Pettis, and the area needed a lot of work. With this area, we did one of our stakeholder meetings, and I think some of y'all may have been there. One of them actually was about Carson Drive, because we wanted to hear what the citizens thought about that area and get their input too. Because the police have a viewpoint, I have a viewpoint, the citizens have a viewpoint. And they actually gave some wonderful input on things we can do that will help. And so the police officers were there. We flagged some definite negative activity in the area for that. So how this has worked is, like I said, all these officers or your staff have worked together. The police department, our code enforcement, you can see I don't need to go over all this code enforcement. They've got picked up and got code enforcement out there and done more on it, making sure everybody's in compliance. Park and Recreation, they cleaned up at the end of the cul-de-sac because that was a dump heap. Ever since they cleaned it up, got the stuff out, put a trash can there, they cut down a bush and a dead tree stump that's there and made it look nicer. We haven't had that much problems. There's still got to be some litter, but not like what it was. So there was some major improvement on that. Public Works, they coordinated with Florida Power and Light, got the lighting upgrade there, put in a 4-way stop sign and a speed bump. 4-way stop sign was because the citizens said, if you will put a 4-way stop sign there, people won't be flying through like they have. And actually, there has been some improvement. There's a nursing home that's right down the road there. I met with some of them, and they were telling me, it's amazing. The traffic has slowed down some now that they know that 4-way stop sign's there. The speed bump, the citizens, I was going to put it in a different spot, and they said, no, you need to put it right here. That's where we put it. And it's been great, and it's really been working. Major improvement. And y'all can see on the next, did y'all see the graph on the next page? So if you'll pull that up. This is what I'm very excited about. I was looking at this, and I said, well, we need a year comparison, not just a 5-month. And if you'll see, the SEPTED initial work was started in July. And you can see the trend. It's not 100% clear, but it is a great improvement to what we've had in the past, because July 23, there was 2 incidences, this time there was 0. And if you look at November and December, how many incidences there were, and look at November and December this year. So I'm not saying it's 100% because of SEPTED, but I will say I believe it had a major effect on that. The property owners of one of the questionable properties has cleaned it up and got some things out. You'll know we've had a nuisance abatement there that cleaned off another piece of property, and then another investor's come in and fixed up some property. And in time, we're hoping this road will actually be a very good, viable road. It's going to take time. It's going to take, we can't do everything overnight. But this is a sign of an improvement in that area, and we're hoping it will continue.
The questionable house that we're speaking about, has that been cleaned up? And
it has been cleaned up. The property, I've talked to the property owners, and they were asking me what the city could do, and they were worried about us, repossessing the property. And I told them, I said, well, and I did advise them. I said, because they want me to give them advice. I said, the best advice I can give you is get an attorney, and then they can tell you what you can do to clean up that property and to get the people out that you don't want in there. It's going back and forth, but they have cleaned it up. It does look a lot better. We are going to keep on top of it and make sure that it stays that way. So we're not just doing a one-time, let's look at Carson Road and clean it up. Our eyeballs are on that street, and it's going to stay.
Mr. Bear?
And the house across the street, that the person that had that house that was complaining,
It was actually a couple of streets down, a couple of houses down, And I haven't heard anything lately. I do hope there's going to be some improvement. I know there's been some issues. Like I said, in time, it will be good. It's better than it was. So some of these things just take time to actually come into effect. And I'm hoping there'll be more people that say, okay, this got done, let's buy this house and let's sell it and let's fix up that street. That street's on the way to be an actually very good asset to the community. That's my goal.
Thank you.
That they can say Carson Drive was.
Thank you, thank you.
It is.
I think one of the parcels that's close to that house of concern is one of the parcels where there's an applicant, I believe, wanting to use some of that workforce housing money. How far are they along in the process? And back to improving blighedness and light, I think, having a new product will help can piggyback off this whole conversation. But where are they in that development process?
That's kind of out of mine. Chris will have to answer that. That's out of my world. You got the nuisance abatement, got it cleared.
Yes.
But
Actually, that applicant will be supposed to be here this evening at the city council meeting during public comment to give a quick update on his project. He'll speak as far as timeline, but he has been in contact with us saying he's got plans, site plans drawn up for it, and they're still moving forward. So I hope in a couple hours here he'll be able to give you a full update on it.
Okay, so we might hear from him tonight at that next meeting, but at this point, there hasn't really been a lot of staff and applicant.
He has not formally applied for the building permits or anything at our the stage, but he has stayed in contact, and following that recent discussion on the topic, we did reach out to him, and he did wish to speak and give you all an update. We'll city council all an update later.
I will remind you that a meeting or two ago, the council approved a new townhome type plat on 3rd Street right at the intersection of Carson. So awesome. There's a number of good things happening over there.
For sure.
We're excited about the good things happening. Keep
And
lighting up.
I will say that on Wyndham, and right there at 3rd and Wyndham, the guy that brought that was as a veteran, or actually he's a soldier, and he bought that. There's an small apartment complex there, and I've been working with him. We're going to do nuisance abatement on it. He's going to get septic done on it, and he's going to redo that apartment complex, which is right there off of and it's going to be a great thing too. So more and more people that start showing interest in fixing things up is going to really help the area.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions on this? Okay. So the final thing we want to talk about is we had talked about, and it's in the budget, to do the redevelopment plan update. I wanted y'all to get, because this plan is going to have to be completely rewritten. We do not have a Word document to just change things. We're going to have to redo everything. And I wanted y'all to get a complete picture of what this is going to be entailed on this, and that's why I wanted to put it through you, and you've got on that. So, and you can see that it was initially, the FRA was initially established in 1977, and about every 7 to 9 years, we've had to update the plan. FRA suggests every 5 years you update your plan. So we're really kind of late on it, but as long as we're doing it, it's not mandatory every 5 years, but that's a suggestion. So we do need to do a complete update on it, and I want y'all to get a complete picture of what's going to be involved on that. So phase 1 is going to be the information gathering. That's going to take about 3 months. There's a whole lot of information that's got to be updated and retrieved, working with the city and getting some information over there in the GIS system and getting some facts and data. We're going to need to update that. And there's just so much that's got to be involved. That's going to involve the community interviews and meeting with y'all and gathering information. So I'm guessing that'll take about 3 months once we get started. And then phase 2 is going to be actually writing the plan. I'm giving it about 4 to 6 months. That's going to take the longest, is to put all that together. The whole thing's got to be rewritten, and I don't know if y'all have seen it. It's a thick plan. There's a whole lot's got to be done, and it's not going to be exactly, we've got this, we just got to rewrite it. There's a lot that's got to be done, removed, updated, and revised. So I'm suggesting it's going to take about 4 to 6 months. And then phase 3 is going to be presenting to the taxing entities. We do have to submit it to the county because we do get county funds on this. So we will just submit it to their growth management director, and they will get it approved through the county because they have to approve the plan also, just along with y'all. So I'm anticipating that phase 3 will be that, and that shouldn't take but about a month because we just have to get the entities involved to vote on it. So I wanted y'all to get a full picture of what's going to be involved and why you're asking to get a contract to do that. 'Cause this is a major project. So, any questions about what we received on that?
What was at the last meeting, I think we had talked about this, what kind of price point were we looking at for someone else outside to do this?
I have asked around an average plan, that's why I put in there for $100,000. That's about an average of what it costs to get an outside company to do the plan, because of what all's involved. There are maybe other ways, but that's why I put $100,000 in there, is because that was the average and that's what I was advised.
So you mentioned earlier as well that it's recommended that the plan be updated every 5 years. What's the law?
There is no law.
Okay.
There is no law. The problem you're going to run across is when your plan is not updated, then the state wants to know, what have you done? And that's why, like, the reports that are coming in, it's, what have you done? What has been done, what has been completed, and where are you going? So they want us to show every 5 years, we have completed this, because that's what it has to show, is what we've completed, what we've done, and what we have planned.
There's a separate, I mean, you have to file reports every year regardless, correct? That show what's been done.
Yeah, those are the little reports. These have to be in much more detail.
Okay.
And, yeah, there's so much involved. It's amazing.
Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Jeter?
Is this similar to what we were discussing last time? We were talking about updating the plan and not spending this. This is the same, right? That we were talking about updating the current plan that. So I guess to piggyback off Councilman Allegretto, I think it'd be maybe better to push it a little further. And I go back to like the triangle we were just talking about redoing. We kind of don't want to spend a lot of money there because we don't really know where Around the Mound is going to go. So I feel like we're inching closer towards Around the Mound. Maybe punt, maybe wait another year or two before, if we don't have to do it this year, shouldn't we wait to see what other big dominoes are falling in line before we do this big update? Because I tell you, my first insight of gathering information as a citizen, my first question for the downtown master plan is going to be, where's the road going? If we don't have that answer, what are we really planning?
You don't have to get too detailed on this. It's just like saying, this is a project Around the Mound, and this is the plan.
Yeah, but I'm saying for $100,000, it better be detailed.
And you're absolutely right, and what Allegretto said here is that there's not a drop end date that you must update this every X number of years. This is in my time here it's been 5 to 7 years, but we do have a lot going on now. We can absolutely continue working out the current plan. The biggest thing I think to keep in mind in general, I think we're still right for most everything that we're doing, is that to be able to do a project or fund anything in the CRA, it has to be identified in your plan. Is one of there's a few requirements in statute, and one of the requirements is you can't spend money in the CRA that's not identified in the plan. So as long as it's in the plan, and that's where the plan we try to include everything that we can think of for 5 to maybe 10-year period even, then we're good. And I think what we're currently doing now, we've identified Around the Mound, we've identified all these downtown improvements and CRA-wide improvements. We can still continue working on it while the picture gets clearer for a lot of these things. We don't have to do this now. Looking at it, and Lisa, I don't think mentioned it, but we did kind of put together a bullet pointed, itemized kind of list of everything that we're looking at, just to help educate you guys on the process. That's everything that's kind of we feel is all inclusive at this point for what will be updated. But that's something that whether it's this year, next year, or 2 years from now or longer, is something that we can look at doing. As far as staff side, we can start this process at staff level. Where it comes down to is the actual report writing. That I think we feel that we would probably need some outside assistance, and it could even be hiring a consultant or somebody to help just compile. We have the data; they could help write the actual report. If that's something in the future we want to do, there's a lot of ways we can do this. So.
We've got an item, as you all know, this evening on the regular agenda with the design plans for Around the Mound that will be presented to Chris will next meeting. So, maybe a good time to do it in coordination with that.
Mr. Allegretto?
Is there anything in the current plan, the 2019 plan, that doesn't jive with what we're trying to do now? Like, are there any projects that we were going to do that in the CRA, but sadly, it's not part of the plan? I know you said you wrote it to be as generalized and as vague as possible, just so that we could tackle things when they come up, but like, is there anything that we're not able to do right now because of that plan?
You know, so the one that comes to mind, and really, you know, anything in there doesn't mean we have to do it, it's just something that we could do. And the only thing I can think of at a time, you know, going back to 2017, 18, when we were developing that plan, I think we talked about maybe looking at a municipal marina. You know, probably something that we moved away from, you know, looking at that. But I think that's one of those maybe, you know, planned projects again, because we're trying to throw everything in there just to keep it as an option. I think that's something that isn't needed, but I really think everything else in there are projects and activities that we are, you know, have completed.
But I mean, like right now, 2025, there's nothing that's like, we could accomplish this, but because our plan doesn't include it.
No, the only, you know, when it comes to the community policing, it's very, very small what's in there. We read it with the city attorney's firms and all too, feel that we can still move forward with that. But that was one thing that I know Lisa and I talked about, you know, if we we're gonna update the plan, we would probably want to add just more language about community policing. However, we still feel that we're okay at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
So you say we don't have anything right now, but there's a 2019 plan. There's not a template that we can use from the 2019 plan?
We have a PDF. We have PDF documents of it. Unfortunately, we don't have Word documents. We can work on converting and extracting out to make it into a more workable document.
So I guess I'm just trying to figure out what will we actually be paying $100,000 for?
A lot of it's the research and the legwork that has to be done to get the plan done and then write it. There's a whole lot of research, meetings and stuff that's got to be done to get it ready. The writing does take a while and it is a lot of work, and we've got to update all the maps, we've got to update all the statistics because some of the statistics in there are older. And I will say that one of the reasons Chris and I talked about actually moving forward with this is because community policing is very briefly mentioned in here, and CPTED I think is only mentioned once. And if it wasn't in there, I couldn't do anything with CPTED. And since we're moving forward with community policing and trying to expand that program, I really do feel we need to get more detailed on that. There's just some stuff that I feel needs to be added.
I mean, I'm kind of like Mr. Oliver. If we left this thing vague to give ourselves options, and now we're sitting here running into some specific targeted issues, instead of redoing the whole plan, why don't we just add the specific things that we're targeting to the plan, and we can do that internally, and we don't have to go spend $100,000 to update the whole plan.
99% of it, or, you know, whatever amount we can do most of it, obviously the same, and then just add, you know, those couple of topics that we've identified. We could do that.
We could look at doing some addendums if we wanted to do that.
Because I will say this, it may be $100,000 now, but if we want to go redo this thing in 3 years, it's probably going to be $125,000 then. It's not going to be any cheaper today than it is going to be in 3 years. You know, so, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out what the overall accomplished goal is if it's just to add some of these things that are just small that are mentioned that we need to expand on, then I think that we can do that internally.
It was always a solid plan. You know, when it came into, you know, looking at that, the cost and the time, there's so many tables and reports that are data from property appraiser, tax collector, RGS data. So, you know, when we bid these things out, that's all that time that, you know, they want to obviously build for is really, again, whether staff does it or whoever, it's just updating all that data that's now, you know, 6, 7 years old, but it's all good data, and it's nothing that's hurting us today, you know, or, you know, really moving into the future. I think feeling it's not hurting us if you stay there. We can look at doing it and do it, updating, it's just, you know, adding community policing stuff to make sure it's strong in there, and identifying, we'll see if there's anything else in there. Really, I mean, that's definitely doable as an update.
Mr. Mead? That's done, Chris. Mr. Mead?
So if we wanted to add a marina at the landing, which I think would be a good idea, could we do that with an amendment or addendum? Will we file our annual report?
That is one that's in there now.
No, I'm just, okay, let's say we wanted a spacecraft landing.
Yes.
I'm being facetious, but something that wasn't in the original plan.
Yes.
Then
we can always be, yes, we can always just do, some minor updates to it. And additions to it.
Okay.
You are going to run across problems if that's all we ever did. And that's when the state are going, wait a second, y'all need to redo the plan. And that's where the problem can run across, is we can't do anything that's not in the plan. And we just got to make sure that it's updated and that we are following the plan. That's why it's just time to do it. He has a good point. It's not going to get any cheaper. It's just going to get more expensive. And I'm hoping to be able to get somebody to do it for $100,000 if they're going to redo the whole thing. Because we're looking at just the downtown design. guidelines. That was just one little area that's part of the CRA. And that plan's, it's a lot of work.
Mr. Jeter?
I was just gonna say, if you're looking for consensus, like we're all up here saying, I say we amend the current one, save $100,000, I think is what we're all saying. And when around the mound or something else happens, maybe it costs 120, but we're gonna have to redo it 2, 3, 4 years from now anyway. That's when we need the detailed one, I think that'd be where I would be.
And to piggyback off that, I think we've asked it in different ways, but I just want to make sure, right now in our 2019 current plan, staff doesn't see anything down the chute that could keep us from executing with our current goals, with our current projects aside. So we're not holding y'all back, we're not holding staff back, we're not holding anybody back by not moving forward with this recommended product. Is that correct?
Yes,
Like
the only thing I really think we need to expand on is the community policing. It's too brief, and we could get into some troubles with all the things, because that is too brief. So I think we need to do an amendment, at least for the community policing and the programs we're doing.
I think that's what we talked about, is just we can get a line update to it. That's a quick process, I really think, to get through that. I'm happy to be good.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't have anything else unless y'all have any more questions for me. We do have a thank you slide. Thank you. I don't know what to do that slide.
Ms. Alicia, and please feel free to pass this on to who you think needs to respond to the information, but as our CRA administrator, how's the crab, the golf cart?
Yeah, it's being used, the police are using, I've talked to them, they're using it on the festivals, we used it in the Christmas parade, it's gonna be in
Awesome.
the Mardi Gras parade, and it is getting out there, it is being used, because I did talk to them, they're the ones who mainly use it. What we want to do is possibly, and we're working on possibly building a storage shed at the landing to actually store it there, then it'll be more accessible for us to use it for things around there. The problem is we're having to store it at the police department, but it is being used, it is out there and being used, and they enjoy it.
Okay. Thanks for that quarterly update. Any other questions you've got? You good, Jeff? All right. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
All right, item 7, action, direction, discussion. Any discussion or direction or action? Mr. Jeter?
We brought up earlier some of the murals. Is there an update at all on the mural for the library and Library Park?
So, yeah, I talked to her today about that too. She's going to, the original one had, we kind of left it off because we didn't know if we were going to do Library Park or not at the time. So it was originally saying Fort Walton Beach Library Park or something like that. It'll say Fort Walton Beach. It's got the FWB 365 logo with a jet flying up, so that would be a finished product, that mural on that wall. The Library Park is something that that we need, as a staff and council, need to decide some of those things, if we want to try to move forward with those things, or what we want to do moving forward, some of those smaller projects like that.
Gotcha.
And other murals too, just to add on to that, when the museum addition is done, there's a big long blank wall on the back side of that would be a really good spot for one, for sure.
On the Quad C side of the house, how soon do you think we can get an offer letter out for that Quad C officer?
Chief, do you have an update?
I think, did you meet with Terry and Nicole today, Jeff?
I did.
So there's some restructuring that we're going to look. We had very minimal interest in the current Quad C position. We've had maybe a handful of positions people apply at best. None with any code or any true experience that we were looking for. Rufus was kind of unique. BC worked for, what's a place called up there on Racetrack that assists with jobs and everything?
Career Source?
Career Source. So he worked for Career Source and he did veterans outreach. So he had a very unique niche that he kind of filled for us. We haven't found anybody else that qualified for it. And right now, I don't think we're at a place where we can publicly discuss it, but we may be able to get somebody that has extensive code enforcement experience that would be willing to come over and assist with the type of position that we want to work them in.
If it doesn't work out with this person that you're referring to, you mentioned not being qualified or some people not qualified, do we need to change standards or policy on qualifications? Because where I'm going with this, my concerns are that 2025's budget year is going to be next year's previous year's actuals.
Correct.
And that service is not being provided. So not to disclose whoever we're negotiating with or maybe negotiating with, but just concerned about the service.
I mean, there was no negotiation, it was just some restructuring in the city and just making sure that everything lined up properly. We should have that within the next week or two. If that falls through, then our plan would just to be bring somebody in from zero and make them a hero like we did with Rufus. I mean, just train somebody ourselves, get the person with the proper attitude, and just go from there.
Do we have a kind of a bank of some of those applicants that might not have met that standard we're looking for? But if this personnel that you're referring to doesn't work out, let's say by the end of, sounds like there's been some conversation you'll have with HR, but if this person doesn't work out that we're meeting that standard that you're wanting, how soon could we maybe lower the standard or lower the policy to make sure we fill that seat and fill that service?
I don't think there's any lowering of standards, just find the right person for the fit for the position. And I think we could probably have somebody here within 3 weeks for at the most, whether it's the person we're working with, or it's somebody that may not have all the attributes that we wanted, that we would just have a longer startup period with them. But I think easily within 4 weeks, probably 2 to 3 would be ideal.
Because this is a non-sworn officer, correct?
That's one of the things we were looking at, and that's what the city manager talked with. The person that has extensive experience wants a sworn position. So we're talking to see how that fits into our current structure, and that's what's delayed us a little bit with it, but we think it could be a win all around if we can make it work.
Awesome. Any other discussion, direction, or action? All right, seeing none. Mr. Smith, you don't have anything? Mr. Mead, any comments?
Hopefully during our city council meeting, we can give you the direction you need to wrap up those murals you were talking about for the various locations.
Sure. Good stuff. You good, Mr. Jeter?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Berry?
No, I'm okay.
No, sir.
All right, you good, Jeff? Good. All right, Ms. Cobb, you good? All right, meeting adjourned.
Okay.